Hello and welcome. I'm Maria Ressa. With us today is Albay Representative Edcel Lagman. He is the principal author of the Reproductive Health Bill. For the first time in more than a decade, this contentious bill has made it to the period of amendments. Join us now on social media. Send us your questions and comments to @rappler.com on Twitter and go to Rappler on Facebook. Use the hashtag RHBill. Congressman Lagman, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here, Maria.
Well, this is the first time in more than a decade. What did you have to do to get the bill to this point?
Well, I think really a relentless crusade for the final enactment of the measure. After the interminable debates had been terminated, I think, Maria, we are at the threshold of passing this bill finally.
So you see this bill becoming law at the 15th Congress, at this Congress?
Definitely. And hopefully in the month of August.
In the month of August. So
before the budget bill goes to the plenary in the first week of September.
Well, of course, you've been the champion of this bill, and this is your last Congress, is that right?
Yes, this is my 6th and last term. And I hope that the passage of the REP bill will be my graduation medallion.
What are the challenges ahead now? What's standing in your way before that can happen?
Well, it's still the traditional opposition coming from the Catholic hierarchy, because they have allies in the House, and we respect the right of the Catholic hierarchy and the lay leaders and their allies in Congress to express their differing views on the REP bill, like any other legislation. But this would not extend, the mantle of protection of the freedom of speech should not extend to malicious misinformation, to patent falsities, and blatant intimidation.
What do you mean by blatant intimidation?
Well, the threat of hellfire and reprisal at the polls, because definitely that is out of touch with reality. The surveys would show consistently that the Filipino electorate would vote for candidates whose platforms would include family planning, including government expenditure for contraceptives, which are not abortive.
Yes.
So,
but some politicians still seem to be afraid of the Catholic Church. I mean, has there been a negative impact on you? You're such an active proponent.
Well, in my case, I am immune to these tirades from the pulpit.
Well, this is a question that came in from @MarkNathaniel. What can you say about the personal attacks of some of the priests during the homily?
Yeah. Well, I've been used to that, and I think people would not be in favor of using the pulpit to personally attack politicians.
Does this mean you're less of a Catholic? Does this mean, when you're...
Definitely not. I am a Catholic. When I was in elementary and high school, I was even an acolyte or sacristan. And I agree with the Ateneo professors that we can support the REP bill in good conscience.
Some of the anti-RH bills factions say that this is going to bring about a dark time where people will be more promiscuous, that it is actually essentially condoning abortion. Two things I lump together. How do you respond to them?
Well,
how do you reassure them?
These attacks against the REP bill, that it would create a breed of sex perverts and it would lead to abortion, are completely without basis. Empirical studies abroad and the United Nations and countries, for example, which have institutionalized sexuality education in the school curriculum would attest that there are very strong beneficent effects of sexuality education. One, they are able to inculcate the proper sexual values to the young. Number two, it prevents multiple sexual partners. It delays entry into sexual relations. It promotes abstinence before marriage and prevents the spread of sexually transmitted diseases. These are empirical results, and I think we should be able to benefit from these United Nations studies.
President Aquino campaigned help on pushing through the RH bill, and yet in the State of the Nation address, he didn't even mention RH, although advocates say that he was supportive of it. How essential is the president's support for this, and how strong is it to pass this into law?
Before I answer that, Maria,
Please.
let me go to the second part of the question.
Sure, on abortion.
On abortion.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was...
Definitely, the bill is against abortion.
Against abortion, because this is a question from at Apple Pinch. Please clarify to the Filipino nation if the RH bill is pro-abortion as promised by the Catholic Church.
Well, it's anti-abortion
Okay.
because the bill itself, in many provisions, would reiterate that abortion is illegal and punishable, and it is not a mode of family planning prescribed by the authors of the bill. As a matter of fact, the bill is really anti-abortion because studies would show that regular and correct use of family planning methods, including contraception by choice, would reduce the abortion rate by 85%. That's a tremendous reduction.
Yes.
In the Philippines now, it has been documented that we have no less than 500,000 abortions, forced abortion, induced abortion,
Wow.
annually. There is a UN study which even say that that figure is even low. They say it's almost about 800,000 annually. You know why? Because we are not able to prevent high-risk teenage and unwanted pregnancies, which are the very candidates for abortion.
So overall, if this bill becomes law, what does that mean for the Filipino people?
Well, that means to say that we will be able to promote maternal health, reduce maternal mortality and infant mortality, and empower parents, couples, and women, especially women who bear the brunt of pregnancy, childbirth, and childcare, to freely and responsibly determine the number and the spacing of their children. And the deceleration of the population growth rate will only be incidental to such empowerment, because this bill is not a bill on population control.
Correct.
Because the provision of the bill specifically says that there are no demographic or population targets, because population control is anathema to the central proposition in the bill, which is freedom of informed choice. That is the hallmark of the bill, freedom of choice. Now, let's go to the president's...
Sir, before I bring you to the president's question, again, this sounds very rational when you lay it out. Why is the Catholic Church so against it?
Well, it's the dogma, it's the orthodoxy, it's the conservatism of the church.
Just that, it's the last bastion?
Which would make them myopic to realities. And, well, you know, Maria, in other countries, particularly in Europe and Latin America, the Catholic hierarchy has deferred to the secular government the adoption and promotion of policies on family planning, including voluntary contraception, which is not abortive. That is why the growth rate, the population growth rate in Catholic countries in Latin America and Europe is much lower than the Philippines, as low as Italy's 0.3%.
Wow.
We have 1.9%, and the prevalence rate with respect to the use of contraception is as high as Brazil, which is a Catholic country,
Yes.
of 80+%. In the Philippines, it's only 50%, and we have a contraceptive need of about 26%.
Part of what makes this an irrational argument is that the Catholic Church and the conservatives who are against it seem to see it anchored in a view of society. I mean, if the argument, they even take apart your arguments. Do you ever see can you see yourself being able to convince them this is the right thing? Because even population growth rates, the opponents of the bill actually challenge these perspectives.
Well, as far as the Catholic hierarchy is concerned,
Yeah.
I think we are not wasting time
You're just
convincing
moving.
them. But